We've talked about this before. When in your rural Iowa, you call for an ambulance, you certainly hope it will show up, but EMS, Emergency Medical Services in Iowa, not deemed an essential service.
Yeah, right. So again, it means when you call 911, the law says no agency is actually required to send an ambulance. And it also means they don't get state funding, which is what's causing what some are calling an EMS crisis.
That's right, a crisis for many. KWWL reporter Ashley Neighbor talking to EMS advocates today for us. This ahead of a big meeting going on tonight in West Branch. She's live with some of the late details ahead of that meeting. Ashley.
Well, that's right. Now that information may surprise you, as it did me. Now, luckily, volunteer services and a handful of paid agencies do cover Eastern Iowa for emergency transport, but many of them say they're in a funding crisis.
When you call 911, you are guaranteed that a police officer will come. You're guaranteed a fire department will respond to your call. But there is no guarantees, there's no funding for ambulance services or EMS.
Sandy Hike is a medical officer at West Branch Fire. For more than 30 years, she's worked and volunteered at agencies across the area.
I'm actively involved because EMS is in a crisis state right now.
A funding crisis that Washington Police Chief Jim Lester is also working on.
It's important for everybody to know that when you call 911 and ask for an ambulance, there's nobody required to provide that.
Both will be speaking to lawmakers here tonight about the struggle to pay for and provide emergency transport and care.
3/4 of our call are medical calls, and the other quarter is fire calls. But the fire department is supporting the medical side, the first responder services. So basically, a lot of the funding and the service that has been provided has been at the cost of the fire department giving up money for fire services to support EMS.
Especially in rural Iowa.
The rural farming communities and stuff are the ones who are going to suffer by EMS dying, because they're going to be waiting for those ambulances from metro areas 30 minutes or so to come and take them to the hospital, and that could be the difference between life and death.
Between a volunteer shortage and lack of funding, agencies are closing their doors, resulting in longer transport times. Now, Police Chief Lester was a former emergency management coordinator in Wright County himself. Now, during his time there, they were able to get EMS deemed as an essential service back in 2017. I'm live in the Cedar Rapids newsroom. Ashley Neighbor, News 7 KWWL.
All right, Ashley, thank you very much tonight, because something else you really need to know is that although EMS is not considered an essential service, Iowans are required to render what they call reasonable assistance following a traffic accident, for example, and that might include transportation.
Yeah, this means that you could be the one taking the injured to the hospital, and you will remember that this was at the heart of the Chris Soules case.